All right, today we're pulling back the curtain on the courtroom. We're going to break down the hidden rules that turn every single witness testimony into, well, a high stakes performance. So grab a seat, the show is about to start.
You've seen it a million times in the movies, right? That dramatic moment. But in a real courtroom, it's almost never that simple. There's a really specific and actually kind of theatrical reason why lawyers have to, dance around those super direct questions.
Yeah, it's because it's not just a simple Q&A. Every testimony is basically a structured narrative. Think of it like a three-act play. It's designed to build a story up, challenge it, and then maybe clarify it, all in the search for the truth. Or, at least a version of it that's believable. So, here's our game plan. We're going to walk through these three acts. First, the examination in chief. That's where the story gets told. Then, cross-examination, where that story gets put to the test. And finally, re-examination, where they try to repair it. Let's kick things off with Act 1. Okay, Act 1, setting the stage. This first part is all about laying the foundation. See, the lawyer who called the witness up to the stand, they get to go first. And their whole job is to carefully build their side of the story, piece by piece, using the witness's own words. So what's the goal here? It's simple, really. Get the facts that help your case out on the table. The lawyer's job is to be like a supportive guide, helping their witness present this calm, clear version of events. But this supportive role comes with one huge, absolutely unbreakable rule. And this is it, the absolute cornerstone of Act 1. You cannot ask leading questions. Questions that basically suggest the answer you want. And why is that? Well, because the evidence is supposed to come from the witness, right? Not from the lawyer's mouth. The lawyer just can't be seen putting words into their own witness's testimony. This slide really breaks it down perfectly. Look at the left, the forbidden leading question. You were in Trafalgar Square on December 1st, weren't you? See, the answer is just baked right in. But the proper question on the right is totally open-ended. Where were you on December 1st? This forces the information to come straight from the witness, which makes it feel way more credible. And there's another really crucial point here. The side that calls a witness is basically vouching for them. They're telling the court, hey, listen to this person, they're trustworthy. So if that witness suddenly says something that torpedoes your case, you can't just turn around and attack their character. It's like this classic quote says, you can't present someone as respectable and then suddenly try to prove they're a liar. And now, for the part everyone knows from TV, the tone just completely flips. Act 2 is where the other side, the opposing lawyer, gets their shot. The gloves come off, and the goal isn't to build a story anymore, it's to test it, to poke holes in it, and maybe even tear it all down. The objective here is totally adversarial. The cross-examiner is trying to complete the story from their point of view. They want to correct what they see as problems from Act 1 and bring out facts that help their client. So they're actively working against the narrative that was just built. And they have a lot of tools to do this. They can challenge the witness's memory or their honesty. For example, if a witness gives an alibi, the cross-examiner can bring up stuff like, well, the lighting was pretty bad at the scene, wasn't it? Or point out how little time they had to actually see something. All of it is to create reasonable doubt. And unlike in Act 1, they can explore any relevant topic and even go after the witness's character because, hey, they never vouched for them in the first place. So during cross-examination, the lawyers still can't just make flat-out statements. They can't just stand up and say, my client says you planted the bomb. That's not a question. Instead, they have to use this really clever technique to frame that allegation and put it directly to the witness. And this is how it's done. Just by adding, didn't you, at the end, a direct accusation is magically transformed into a question. This forces the witness to confront that allegation, right then and there, and answer it under oath. It's an incredibly powerful tool, and it's pretty much unique to cross-examination. Okay, now it's really important to address a very sensitive area where the rules of cross-examination have some specific modern limits. In trials for sexual offenses, there are very strict controls on questioning a complainant about their past sexual behavior. The law recognizes that this kind of questioning can be totally irrelevant and incredibly prejudicial. This slide shows a crucial legal distinction that came out of a key case. The court basically drew a line between two different types of belief. On one hand, evidence suggesting a complainant is promiscuous, that might relate to a belief they would consent in general. The court says that's irrelevant to what happened on one specific night. But on the other hand, evidence about how a complainant was responding in the moment, well, that could be relevant to a belief that they are consenting right then. It's a subtle but really critical distinction, and it's designed to focus the trial on the actual facts of that specific occasion. All right, so the story has been built, and then it's been attacked. So, what happens now? Well, that brings us to our final act, re-examination. This is the original lawyer's chance to do a little damage control. But the rules here are super strict. The purpose is only to clear up any confusion that came up during cross-examination. For instance, if the witness was challenged on the poor lighting for their alibi, their lawyer can now ask them to clarify why they were still so sure of what they saw. But they can't bring up new topics, and they definitely can't just repeat their original testimony. The focus is exclusively on repairing the damage from Act 2. So after seeing all three of these acts, you're probably left with a question. Why? Why this incredibly rigid structure? Well, the answer is that the system is designed to be more than just simple storytelling. It's a process of deliberate construction and then deconstruction. It really all comes down to this. The first act, examination in chief, builds the narrative. The second act, cross-examination, attacks it to find all the weak spots. And the third act, re-examination, tries to patch things up. The whole theory is that whatever story is left standing after this intense process is the one that's most likely to be true. Or, at the very least, the one that's the most believable. And that leaves us with one last thought. This structured play is the very foundation of how our legal system tries to get to the truth from witnesses. But does this adversarial game of storytelling and questioning truly reveal what happened? Or does it sometimes just reward the person who's the most skilled performer? That's definitely something to think about.